Hello and welcome to the all-new ThyGap podcast episode. This is me being Brute and with me is...
Bogus Noog.
Bogus Noog. So once again, we are back here to talk about a topic which is it's not easy.
Yes.
It's not easy to do a lot of things, but today I'm going to speak to Bogus about how it's not easy to accept.
Acceptance.
Acceptance is the word of the day. You know why it's not easy to accept acceptance?
Why is that?
Because we don't know what it is. We're dealing with a superficial, according to me, again. I think we're going to do a lot of these subjective thoughts.
It's all subjective.
Yeah, it's all subjective. But somebody said it's all relative, but it's subjective. What I feel why it is not easy to accept is we quite do not understand how acceptance works. I think it's very superficial.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is it's not easy to accept, or is it's not easy to understand acceptance?
Understand acceptance as a concept.
What is the conventional understanding of...
Acceptance is, for example, it's what we see a lot in the millennials now. You know, I accept the differences among us. If you look at the individual. The other way of looking at it is like our ancestral generation. We accept what we have, you know.
Right.
There's a difference in accepting it. There's a difference in living it. Okay. Once they both come together is when it becomes your reality.
Right.
In the true sense.
Right.
Right. But do you understand the difference of accepting it and living it?
Yes. One is just a statement for statement's sake. You know, it's just like you're just saying it, but you're not really, it's not in your bones. It's not in your actions.
Yeah, exactly. Bogus, -3 points to you. You see a lot of people today with the whole FOMO disease where they accept, I'm middle class. I don't have the luxuries or, the benefits that I want. I accept that. But when you look at them, they're trying to live up to a different life, right?
Yeah.
Which is not their reality.
Yeah.
They put like fancy cars on their, they wear fancy clothes which might not be necessary. They're going for like, costly restaurants or whatever, like the long list. And it's very materialistic in nature also. Now that is the whole point of I accept it, but I don't fucking live it. The other part is I live it, but I don't accept it.
Okay.
The same middle class guy, he's, the person is making sure that, okay, I have this much of money or this is where I stand. So yes, this is my life. And, he does the whole 9 yards. Like he's living within his money. He's spreading his blankets as much as he can and etc. etc. But in his mind, he's like, no, this is not what I deserve to have. I deserve better. So I'm not going to accept this lifestyle. Yes, I'm living it because that's what I can afford. And I appreciate this. But I should go further. That's where the determination concept comes. Ambition comes, right? So that is the difference of it. And the day what you accept and what you live becomes the same thing is when you actually create your truth or,
It sounds like contentment. That's what it is.
Yeah, true happiness or the real form, the pursuit of happiness or whatever, right? So now that is something that is hugely a miss. Sometimes people live it and they kind of are not comfortable. They're not contented with it. So it becomes very negative in nature.
Right.
That not accepting the reality becomes very negative in nature. So though you live it, you're like, this is my fate. This is my destiny. This is all I can do. It doesn't push you if you mix it together in a wrong measure or in a wrong magnitude. Am I making sense to you, Bogus? Because this is very high level.
What is the loophole in current days understanding of acceptance?
Well, like I said, this is one example. The other example is accepting is mostly expected from the other party as, they don't accept me, okay? Or they should accept me, rather than you accepting from your end.
Okay, so it's only expected from others.
Yeah, it's more or less expected from others. And if they kind of come in a cognizance to you saying that, you know what, Bogus, it's fine. I accept you for who you are. Then you are basically like, now we've got acceptance across.
But they're not sparing any thought of whether they are accepting
exactly
at all.
Exactly. So it seems to be a very one-sided conversation. And the other part, which is the gray area, which is a bigger chunk of the whole concept of acceptance, is it is not necessary that you accept forcefully or out of resignation.
Obligation?
As an obligation or resignation. Resignation is, okay, fine, you know what?
Right. Okay.
You know,
that's
something that happens a lot of times. And what we feel is if we don't do that, then there's going to be a strain. Then there is going to be a difference of opinions or something that I'm not comfortable with. But the real beauty of acceptance is you functioning even after knowing the fact that the other person doesn't accept you and you accept that fact. You offer to accept that fact and you're okay with it.
You're accepting their unacceptance.
Yes.
Okay.
That is where the whole concept becomes a competition. What you see today is, if he's not going to accept me for who I am, then I don't care who he is.
Right.
You know, it's a very common thread. You hear that tone of conversation. But the real acceptance or the real juice of experiencing acceptance is when you say, you know what, he doesn't accept me and I'm okay with that. You know, he doesn't have to. It's not an obligation for him.
Right.
He can only accept me if he completely is convinced about me. And if I really want him or her to accept me, then I'm going to put in that effort.
Right.
It's a merit-driven conviction. Acceptance is, unfortunately, yes, there is this natural organic element to it, but that's predominantly like every marriage is an example of that. You marry someone because you feel that, they're pretty, this person is handsome, so we make a good pair, people are going to talk about us, etc, etc, etc. 1 month, 2 months into the marriage, suddenly I didn't expect this guy's like this. Right. And that is where you're tested with your aptitude or your ability to accept something. It's not compromise, but it's an acceptance. It's like acceptance with conviction. That is the real juice of acceptance. And I don't think we do that. We do that very, very peripherally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The earlier point that you made about acceptance being more or less an expectation from others.
Yeah.
It reminded me of an example where at the workplace some years back, there was this guy, limited social skills, but he used to never have good relations with people around him. And everyone tended to have some sort of a problem with him or something.
Was it you?
No.
Okay. So, I thought you were talking about yourself.
No, I was on the other side of the table. So,
as we always are.
I asked him what his problem was, and why he was finding it so hard to get in with the team that he just joined. And he had just joined my team basically. And he said, I don't know, this is something that always happens to me. If I'm joining, you only tell me, if I'm joining a team, they already know each other, and I'm joining newly, they should at least come and talk to me, right?
Yeah.
They should at least invite me to lunch, right?
Yeah.
All this stuff, and of all the string of things that he said, it's always they should have done this, right? They should have done that, right? How will I feel, if they don't do this? So I was like, okay, all that is fine, but what have you done?
Yeah.
Did you do anything from your side? Did you introduce yourself to someone? Did you try to find some commonality between yourself and others? And he was looking at the sky, he was looking at the stars. No, I did not. It's how did you expect that? Why are you expecting that only they should have come in?
It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is a norm, and we kind of take this for granted, And somehow the other thing about, in this case itself, right? The pattern that I've observed is the people who ask for acceptance is one of the ways of they portraying themselves as a victim.
Yeah.
It's a
setup tool.
It's a setup tool. Yeah. It's I'm a victim because nobody accepts me.
Yeah.
No, you're not a victim. It's just that people don't accept you for whatever might be the reason. Having said that, it's not entirely true. The people you want to accept you are not accepting you. There are a lot of people who are accepting you. You have friends, you have people. Yeah. And it's the same thing with, I have a similar, story back from college. There was one guy who came. I didn't like him for whatever reasons, right? And you always have that one guy in class who you don't like.
Yeah.
And I was very clear to this guy saying that, boss, I don't like you.
There's one in this room.
Yes,
go ahead.
Exactly what I'm saying. There's one in the room where 52 countries don't like. And who starts with B, whose name starts with B.
Exactly.
And N. So, anyways, Bogus, why do I always have to derail our conversation?
Oh, I'm the one who derails the conversation.
Absolutely.
Right.
So there's this guy, and I told him very clearly that, boss, you know what? It's okay for us not being friends because there are other people.
You told him, what did he say first?
No, it was like he's a clingy guy,
Okay.
he
Seeking your approval.
Exactly. It came across like that. Okay. At least at that point. This was back in college. So, and I never liked people who, try to get...
That's a natural reaction, right? Sometimes, like anyone who tries to be clingy or too pleasing.
Yeah, too pleasing is a word. He was too pleasing, unnecessarily pleasing, and all that. So, anyways, long story short, this guy tried talking to me, and I was, at one point, I left my lid open and I was like, boss, I don't like you. And I don't have a problem with you. It's just that I don't like you. I don't know why. Don't ask me like trick questions. Having said that, anybody here in the class is still friends with you. Everybody talks to you and, you have other friends.
Yeah.
So it's okay not being a friend with me.
Yeah.
Right? And that just didn't bode well with him for some reason.
Right.
And he just kept on trying to nag that point that, tell me what is wrong with me, why can't I be friend with you, etc., etc. To a point almost he was forcing me to morally tell him that, okay, boss, these are the things that I don't like in you.
Right.
And that's not the kind of friends I want. And once he bought it out of me, he went around telling other people saying that, you know what, Brut is not talking to me. And he thinks that I'm such and such person. Do you think the same?
Right.
And that's victimization according to
Yeah, it's victim mentality.
Yeah, it's victim mentality, saying that there's one person in this whole 100 people, or like thousands of students in the class, in the college, thinking that I'm so and so.
Yeah.
Why can't you just accept that, okay, he doesn't like me, and then you move on?
Right.
And that's where I'm coming from. Every time a person raises his hand or her hand and they say like, oh, a bunch of people don't appreciate me. And there are different ways of putting this across, right?
Yeah.
They don't appreciate me for who I am. Fair enough. There are other people who appreciate you for who you are. Go stick with them.
Yeah.
Don't cry about it. But if you really want, a specific set of audience for yourself and they're not ready to be your audience, then you got to work for it. It's not easy.
It is not easy.
It's not easy to get people's acceptance.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. It's a lot of hard work to even get approved by people.
And to be fair, even the early part of your conversation where you just told him in a blunt way that, I don't know what it is about you, but I just don't like you.
Yeah.
And you have other friends anyways. So what's the big deal kind of thing.
In my head, that was as simple as math.
Even that for a college level conversation has already gone too far. That's not the kind of conversations we have in college usually.
Yeah.
It's always buddy, like, hey, time pass, that kind of thing. Now, you even went, like he forced you, of course, but you even went the extra step of lining it out for him exactly what you thought or the reasons why you didn't like him.
Yeah.
Now that is actually worth its weight in gold because hardly any people around you give you their complete, honest,
transparent,
brutal opinion.
Yeah.
Of what they're really thinking about you.
Yeah.
Now, if that guy had any brains, he would actually understand the value of that and he would introspect and he would think, is there really something I need to change about myself?
Yeah.
Is there any merit to what this guy said about me?
Yeah.
And then work on that. But rather than that, immediate victim switch.
Yeah. Because it's easy. It's a hack, right?
Yeah.
It's easier.
That's what I mean by cop out. It's always easier.
Yeah. It's easier
to do
hack.
this.
And, rather than he proving himself right, it's easier to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
That's another aspect of this whole victim card. Saying that, oh, they are wrong because they're thinking wrong. If you have your own thinking and you have your own rules of engagement of who will be your friend and who will not, they have the same fucking right.
Yeah.
They have their own rules of engagement. They have their own checklist of who they want to accept and who they don't.
Yeah.
And it is okay. The whole goddamn thing is acceptance is only approved in a positive connotation.
Yeah.
What we need to learn is to also approve it in a negative conversation.
True.
Unacceptance.
Yep.
We have to make that a norm, saying that it's okay. It is fair for somebody not to accept me.
And that, my friends, is not easy.
It is not easy.